Welcome back to another episode of Queenfidence Lifestyle Podcast. I'm super excited to empower you this week. We have a special guest for you all. And as you know, what our tradition is to take out that pen and paper because we're going to drop it like it's hot. We got some jewels for the journey, things that will absolutely transform your life wherever you are on your path to greatness. First, I want to open up and let you know that April is Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, and we're talking about a sensitive topic on today. And I want to give you a statistic that I found. According to the National Sexual Assault Hotline, every 9 minutes, Child Protective Services substantiates or finds evidence for a claim of child sexual abuse. That is absolutely baffling to me. It only takes one voice at the right pitch to start an avalanche by Diane Hardy. Listen, 1 in 9 girls and 1 in 53 boys under the age of 18 experience sexual abuse or assault at the hands of an adult. 82% of all victims are under 18 years old and they're female. Females ages 16 to 19 are 4 times more likely than the general population to be victims of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault. This has got to stop. The effects of child abuse can be long-lasting and affect the victim's mental health. Victims are more likely than non-victims to experience the following mental health challenges. About 4 times more likely to develop symptoms of drug abuse. About 4 times more likely to experience PTSD as adults, and 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults. Out of every 1,000 sexual assaults, ladies and gentlemen, 310 are reported to the police. Where are the others? We are no longer suffering in silence. And today we are going to sound the alarm with our guest, Dolores E Jordan. And for those that don't know, she is the sister of the famous Michael Jordan. And she has a powerful story of how she turned her pain into power. Dolores has a new book out and it's called Please Don't Jump. And she's going to tell us all about it. So without further ado, welcome, Dolores, to the show.
Oh, Chrissy, thank you so much for having me. I love your energy. I love it.
Can we say the joy of the Lord is our strength?
Yes. We can do all things through him who strengthens us, right?
Absolutely. And your testimony is that you have done all these things, overcoming by his strength. And so I want you to just share with us the backstory, because many of our audience, they don't know your story. Can you give us a glimpse into the pain?
Okay, so I am, as you said earlier, I'm Michael Jordan's older sister. Michael's 4 years younger than me. It's 5 of us. So I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. And so I am the second oldest, and I'm the oldest girl. So I have a brother, Larry, that's 3 years younger than me. Michael's 4 years younger than me. And then my sister, Rosalind, is 5 years younger than me. And then I have an older brother that's 2 years older than me. So I'm right there, first girl, second oldest. And you know, a lot of people don't know me because as my first book was titled In My Family Shadows, I was in the shadow. And you know, one of the issues with being in the shadow was one of the things why I actually was there was because my story is not a pretty story. And as you say, a lot of people know Michael. But before Michael became Michael, that the world knows, I'd already lived what seemed like a lifetime, you know, because he's 4 years younger than me. Okay. So I was a daddy's girl. We lived in the same house, Michael and I, same house, same parents, same, you know, household, but totally different stories. And I didn't understand mine. I thought God made a mistake. I used to say to God, you have other families in the world. You couldn't think of another family to put me in, you know, because it seems like such a mistake for him to put me in this family where he had put Michael, who was so, you know, talented and phenomenal, charismatic, you know, all those things. And I was so broken, you know. And so, but one of the things that, you know, kind of starts my life was that for the first 4 years, I was with my grandmother.
Okay.
And so my parental grandparents. And then when my mom got us all, put us all back together, you know, my father was in the Air Force, my mom was away in school. It was, then came Michael and Larry and Rosalind. But at age 8 to age 16, I was a daddy's girl in a way that should never be a daddy's girl, you know. And here's the thing, I didn't know I was being abused. Nobody talked about abuse then. Like now there's so much information about abuse that there are places to go. You do not have to sit in silence. You do not have to take that shame on as if, you know, as if it's yours, as if you own it or if you deserve it. So when I'm 8, Michael's 4. When I tell my mother at age 16, Michael's 12. So the Michael that the world came to know, there was no hint of him. There was no hint of the, you know, public notoriety and stuff. So, but by the time he went in the NBA, I was, you know, he went in the NBA in 1984. So I'm 25 at that point. I had been dealing with the residual effect of abuse for, you know, you say, I told my mother at age 16, she put me, the same day I told her, she put me in front of my father and my father confessed. But then they made a decision that, and my mother said to you're never to mention this, you're never to discuss this again. Do you understand me? And my parents were, you know, we were yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. So I wasn't allowed to talk about it. So to imprison a child with that experience and no outlet, you know, no outlet. And me, I didn't think about God. You know, I didn't think about God. I know we went to church, but, you know, we went to church because that's what people did, you know. And so I saw my grandma praying, but at the end of the day, I just didn't see God as my answer. So when Michael went in the NBA, I had already tried suicide at that point, you know, and I actually kind of felt like as he was going into the NBA, I was what's wrong with the family. So if I could not be there, it would make it easier for him. And, you know, he's my baby brother. I love him. You know, and, you know, you just want to see good things for him. And I didn't think my life, I didn't know how to handle my life. I wasn't, the way I did handle it was suicide attempt, or I would go into depression, or very angry. Well, you know, it's funny because I would be angry at times and very submissive at times. You know, angry because I knew I had an internal pain, submissive because if I don't submit, then I'm going to get rejected, ostracized. But so you kind of try to fit in, and everybody wants to have a family. So, absolutely. You know, and I had 2 children by that time. I got married at 17, divorced at 21, had 2 children. And so I always equated to, because he like, take the 16-year-old and you throw stuff in the closet. The 17, throw stuff in the closet, throw stuff in the closet. Eventually that closet is going to get so full that we're going to have to take stuff out of that closet and start putting stuff where it belongs. Don't take what doesn't matter to you no longer, what you don't need, and then finding a place for the things that you want to keep. And so for me, that's what my first book did. Though I didn't intend to write, I did not intend to write In My Family Shadow. And I argued with God about that book because I was like, you want me to do what? You know, as a family, I already think I'm crazy. You want me to do what? You know? And so that was my attitude. Like, you want me to do what? I can't do that. And, you know, and I was journaling already because I'm in Michael Jordan's family. I can't talk so freely about my pain. And then also the images out there. We're a close-knit family. We're all-American family. We're one of the first Black all-American families that you see. And so, how do you handle that? And when I would look at it, I look over at everybody else. Everybody's doing fine. I'm the only one struggling with it. I'm the only one struggling. So, and that abuse is so violating, you know. And the thing about it is if it's physical abuse, we see the scars and we could say, what happened? We can give empathy and sympathy because we can see those scars.
Yeah.
But when the scars are not visible, and people tend to want you to say, if you don't think about it, it'll be okay. If you don't talk about it, it'll be okay.
Right there.
And the truth of the matter is, it won't be okay.
It won't. It won't.
It won't.
I've lived it.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, it colors everything you see in your life.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You see everything through that pain.
You do.
Yeah. And so, so here are my brothers in the NBA, and here I am. And I look over at everybody else, and I'm trying to fit in. And I'm trying to suppress everything that I know don't go with the, don't go with the image. I'm trying to suppress everything I know that the family don't want to deal with. I'm trying to suppress everything I know with the lack of knowledge that I had.
Okay.
If you don't know no better, you can't be expected to do any better.
You're absolutely
and so,
right.
Yeah, so it was a painful time. And, when I talk now, I'm never talking to discredit my family.
That's good.
No, I mean, I wrote my first book, and my family shadow is transparent, painfully transparent.
What courage.
But it's like you have a sword that's not really healing. It's got a scab on it, but it's not really healing. And sometimes you gotta, let all the mucus and all. I hate to be so graphic, but I let all that.
Yeah, it's real. Out. It's real.
And so you gotta go. And sometimes, if you got a gunshot, I've never been shot, but I'm imagining that they have to go in and clean out that wound.
You're right.
And
That's
so, or I always equated my life to Alcohol Anonymous. Okay. Before you can fix your problem, you got to admit that you have a problem.
Got to admit. Step one.
So, what God kept saying to me when I was arguing with him about in my family shadow, I can't do this. He said, you can't heal from something you can't admit.
Right there.
And so it was taken, and everybody was coming to me saying, oh, how wonderful it is to be in your family. Oh, your parents are beautiful. Your dad is a wonderful guy, and yes, I thought I love my dad, but I also know there was the other part to my dad, and my mom was getting Mother of the Year awards, and I'm thinking, but you didn't nurture me. So, so all those things were coming in there. And I just felt like it would be easier if I wasn't in it. I just thought if I just died and got out of the family could breathe. I would not be a reminder of what's wrong with the family. And so, or what's wrong with me, And so that was a lot of what my earlier suicide attempt was about. But then God made me write this book. It took me a long time. I cried my way through it because it was looking at my family, my circumstance, and myself for what it is, not what I want it to be.
Oh, that's good.
Not what the world imagines.
Oh, the truth.
But the truth. And what it did for me is it helped me find my voice. As I would go out and promote the book, I saw so many other Doloreses. I did not know how many Doloreses, male and female, young and old. There's a lot of people out there. And I had this one woman that probably epitomizes what happens with us, and especially in the Black race.
Okay.
She came up, I was speaking, I think I was in North Carolina, and she came up afterwards, and she was 82 years old. Wow. And she came up and put her hands on my face, tears running down her face.
Jesus.
And she says, thank you for having the courage that I didn't have. She says she was 82. She had been abused at 15. And she says, I will take my secret to my grave because I don't have the courage that you have. I 67 years of carrying that. And she had reconciled herself that she was going to die with it rather than, create chaos.
My goodness.
And she says her mother knew, and she was told to never mention it. And here's the thing, never mention it and still seeing the people constantly that had done it to her.
Wow. Wow.
And I mean, that was my situation. I mean, you know, I was a daddy's girl. I love my father. So at the same time, I knew that he was like two people. He was a strong person in the daytime, and he was this man that was, you know, molesting me at nighttime. And, you know, sometimes it was hard to distinguish between the two of them because there was still a love and a trust for him. And yet, when I got old enough to recognize that what he did to me was more violating than, you know, then I understood, you know, my virginity. My dad took that. You know, I can't undo that.
My goodness.
You can't undo that.
Wow.
So it's not a pretty story, but here's the thing. Once I wrote the book, God taught me how. He taught me strength I didn't know I had.
My goodness.
He taught me a voice that I did not know I had. And then he taught me a purpose that I did not know I had.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Talk about beauty for ashes.
Yes.
Truly. I mean, this is the living epistle right here. You know, it's just one thing when we read about what God can do in the word, but just listening to your testimony, I mean, the things you describe, we can't even fathom. You know, it's just because it's so beyond logic. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up, right? I mean, you've lived through it, and now we see on the other side what is possible, especially not allowing it to destroy you, even though you were going down that path.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, how do you explain it other than the grace of God?
Oh, no, let me tell you what kind of changed how I came to see my life in totality. My third suicide attempt. I plotted it. I strategized. My kids were in North Carolina. I had 2 children at the time. I was remarried, second marriage in Pennsylvania. My husband went to, I kissed my husband goodbye as he went to work because I had already been strategizing for weeks now. So this was going to be the day that I put my plan in motion. And my brother had been in the NBA now for 8 years, maybe 7, 8 years. And so it was just never a good time to deal with my issues, but yet my issues was very present to me. And the thing about when my family, they get to pick and choose when they deal with me.
Okay.
I had to get up and deal with me every single day. When I looked in that mirror, I saw me looking back. And I didn't, and when there's an emptiness or a void, you know, it doesn't matter how much makeup you put on, don't matter what kind of clothes you wear, don't matter what kind of house you're in, doesn't matter what kind of car, it doesn't matter how much. I have thousands of dollars in my bank account. None of that was helping me. I just wanted to escape. I'm traveling on private jets. I'm going to places I never imagined going to. Abundance of money in the family, new opportunities by way of MJ. It still wasn't making me like me. None of that stuff can make you like you, you know, and the not liking me was the guilt. You know, what did I do to deserve that? What could I have done different? Why did Daddy not think that my life mattered? Why did Mom reject me? Why did she reject me and keep him? You know, all those things. And so I just plotted my death that morning. And my husband and I had bought this house. We've been in this house 4 years, and it had an automatic lock on it, and on the front door. And so if you went out the door, it automatically locked. And you know, it had, my husband was a contractor, so I was always arguing with him to change that lock because you know we would have to always prop something in the door or always remember to take our keys, even if we were just running out to the car. You know, if the door closed, it automatically locked.
Okay.
And so we have been arguing about that. But this particular July morning, I got up, I cleaned my house because I didn't know who was going to come in after I died. And I wanted to make sure they saw a clean house. I took a shower. Because you hear those things, your mom said, don't never leave your house dirty. And I took a shower, then put on clean underwear because you don't know who's going to see your body. You don't know where you're going to end up or whatever. So it's funny the things that stay with you.
Yeah, right.
Stay with you. So I did all those things. And then there was a woman named Karen Quindlen. Karen Quindlen was a white woman who went out to party one weekend, and she mixed booze and pills, and she stayed in a coma. for so many years. And her parents had to petition court to take her off of life support. And so she was on life support for 10 years. And so, and once they took her, she died. Once her parents won the right to take her off, she died. So I thought that I would follow suit, follow her. And even if I didn't accomplish death, I would be numb and in a coma for 10 years or however long. At least I would be away from my life. That was what my effort was. And my kids, I didn't, I kept feeling like they would be better without me too. The whole world would be better if I wasn't in it. And my family could breathe, easier. Every time they look over at me, I'm what's wrong, So I just plotted, strategized, went through my house, took all my selection of pills, every pill I could find, and then I drank a bottle of bourbon straight. And crawled in bed and waited for death. And I felt myself going and spinning wherever. And it's so funny because just the foolish things of the world. The phone rang. And it wasn't cell phones at that point, it was house phone. And the phone rang beside the bed and I went to answer it. It never dawned on me. It wasn't a second nature to just let the phone ring. Instinctively, I answered it.
My goodness.
And a girlfriend was calling to check on me. And I hadn't talked to her in a while. And so she would tell me later that she was doing chores and the spirit touched her to call me. That she had not had plans to call me. But anyway, she called me. In the midst of our conversation, I go out. I just fade out. So she thought that I was asleep. I had fallen back to sleep. And so she hung up with the mindset that she would call me later. But when she went back to her chores, the spirit wouldn't let her finish her chores. So she got on bus. She did not have a car. She got on public transportation and came across town to my house. She saw my car. She assumed I was there. And she rang the doorbell, but no answer. So she's trying the door. She's going from each door because she knew I was asleep. Okay. So she's trying to, create enough ruckus, trying the locks and whatever, and the door's not opening. So she said, well, maybe my husband had come home in there 45 minutes. It took her to get there, and maybe I actually left with him. So she just made a mental note to leave, that she'll come back later. She gets back to the bus stop, and her spirit is troubled. This is not a woman who is a believer. Wow. No. Wow. So her spirit is troubled enough to come back Jesus. And that automatic lock door opened. Open. Of all the times we got locked out of that house, God opened that door that time. Yes. And so she was able to find me in my bedroom, get me some EMS help. They got me to the hospital, restarted my heart. I was in intensive care for a couple of days. Wow. I woke up. Here's the thing. I woke up and found myself still tired of my life. I was one bad sister.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I never gave God much thought before. But when I woke up and found myself here, I immediately got angry with God. Isn't that funny how I didn't think about considering him before? But I woke up to recognize that he kept me here. So I woke up angry. And I was like, why did you bring me back? I woke up and realized I was still here. And 2 days later, a politician dropped dead on the campaign trail. I was ballistic because I couldn't understand why God took this man who had something to live for and left me. And in my ignorance, I challenged God. If you won't let me die, then you need to show me how to live, because I don't know how to live this life you gave me.
Show me how to live.
And that was my challenge. Not even knowing, and I say honestly, those are the words, out of ignorance, out of anger, whatever. If you won't let me die, then you need to show me how to live this life, because I don't know how to live it.
That's a powerful statement.
And I write candidly about it. I also heard this little voice in the back of my head, though. It says, if you try it again, you might not get up. You won't die, but you won't get up. So I didn't want to be disabled to the point where somebody had to, I couldn't no longer care for myself unless I'm in coma or something. But I didn't want to get up and, my brain not function to where I at least know how to take care of myself to the point of, I felt like that would just add an added burden to, my family, to my husband. So I had enough fear in that little voice to say, you better not try again. And then I came to learn this: of your own, you can do nothing. You can't die if God don't let you.
My goodness.
You can't live if God don't let you.
Wow.
But I started to walk this out with him, just trying to figure out what he saw in me that was worth saving that I didn't see in me. And so as I walk that path, he has shown me not only how to live, he showed me how to love living.
Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, Dolores. Thank you so much for unveiling your experience. Wow. And I know we're down to the last of our 5 minutes, and I would just love for you to share what's on your heart about Please Don't Jump. After you've gone through all of the pain, now you're standing as a voice of inspiration and hope to those that are still in that space, possibly their own type of pain. What do you say to them through the words in Please Don't Jump?
Well, it is, the whole title of it is You Are Stronger Than Your Situation. Please don't jump.
Please don't jump. And
the thing is, we don't know until we tap into God, that inner strength that he's already infused in us. We tend to think that we're trying to figure out how to make our life. And God says, why would you have to do that when I already have a plan for you? It makes far more sense to tap into me and let me show you why I created you. And so that's what, he kept saying to me, Dolores, I know exactly where you are. You're stronger than your situation, not what I wanted to hear. And the Please Don't Jump is coming in and says, please back away from the edge and allow God to show you who he created you to be. He has never made jump. He has never made anybody insignificant. He spoke the world into existence, but he thought you were so worth it that he came down off the throne and got his hands dirty. And he infused in you things, blessings, talents that you don't even know you have. And Satan is trying to steal from you when he keeps you imprisoned in this broken place of brokenness. He wants you to believe that this is all God has for you. And I am a walking, talking testimony that is not so. God says, I know what plan I have for you, and it's for your good and not for your harm, and to bring you to an expected end. And can't nobody tell you that but Christ. Can't nobody. Everybody else can tell you what they think. I have this philosophy that I'm going to end on, and I say, this is truly how I operate my life. Why will I talk to a secretary when I can talk to the president? He's right there. Talk to him. No, it doesn't have to be pretty, and it doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be holier than thou. I teach my daughters, and I seriously teach my daughters, you get in a hard place, say Jesus. The Bible says at the sound of the name, that the demons will flee. Say Jesus. And actually, and that really is enough.
It's enough. It is enough.
It is enough.
Every knee shall bow.
Every knee shall bow. It really is enough. He has a plan. So for you who find yourself still in this broken place, it feels like that he has forgotten you, or he's thrown you away. But change the narrative of how you see your situation. It's not about the glass being half empty. It's about the glass being half full. And he's using this situation to make you who he always purposed you to be. Now walk in that.
Now walk in that. Oh, mic drop. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. How can they purchase the book? You Are Stronger Than Your Situations. Please don't jump.
Well, if you go, it's at Amazon and it's at Barnes & Noble. It's paper book books there.
Okay.
I have hardcover at my email, DoloresEJordan.com. I purposely kept the hardcover so I can't go out because of COVID and meet. So I just gave them something they can only get through me. It doesn't cost any more money than the paperback. but it's just coming personally for me, and I'll
Awesome.
autograph anyone, any of them that they want me to autograph. But yeah, it's just a word of encouragement and strength, and a reminder that, you know, God knows your name.
Oh, I love that. God knows your name. We want to say thank you again, Dolores, for sharing your heart, your testimony, your life force with us today. I can't even imagine how many are going to be impacted. Only God knows, and He's able to touch and breathe on them the words of life that they need to hear at the very exact moment. They need to hear it. And so we bless you with the blessings of God in your endeavors, your efforts, as you continue to be a herald of hope in this dark, dark land that we live in. We are a city set on a hill that cannot be hid, and we're so grateful that you chose to be brave and to use your voice. And
Thank you so much, Chrissy. Thank you for allowing me to speak with your audience and encourage them. I want them to be encouraged that God knows them. He knows them by name.
I know they will be. And so, ladies and gents, we want to say thank you for tuning in again for a beautiful, beautiful show. We never know what we're going to experience, but it's always good, better than Campbell's soup. And so we'll see you next week on the Queenfidence Lifestyle Podcast.
God bless.
God bless.